My journeys out of London become more easy as I gain practice as a sailor. It feels as if I've been beneath the Sunless Sea for ages, when in truth it's only been a few months to a year or so. I made my way down to the Iron Republic with practiced grace and ease, and though the devils were terrifying to say the least, they were useful. My cannoneer worked with an artificer, and I used the Egg of Dreams, the Judgment's Egg, on the seal we found in Aestival. It resonated with them, became infused with power. The red scientific seal we mounted onto my bridge, knowing full well that greater things were to come. As we continued on our journey, I found my way to the Isle of Cats and the Pirate King. Zyra, the lady abbess who ran the abbey that harvested the red honey, asked if I have need of her services, or perhaps she wanted to say that she had need of mine. I talked with her trainees for a time and gave them instructions on how to learn certain things. And then I accepted a commission. She wanted honey to go to a merchant venturer in London, with whom she shared some memories. I remembered the man. He sought some romantic literature from Connate. Perhaps I could kill two birds with one stone here. I made my way to Varchaz as I began planning what to do next. I met with the fungus farmers there who made wine and food from the mushrooms. They appeared to be sick and feared exposure. There was a strange man, covered in jewels. He sought tales of darkness. For the city of light, Varches, the city of mirrors, there was no darkness to be found. I told them of my many conquests, of the flukes, of the monsters, of the trading, and of the sorrow spiders. They were fascinated by the darkness, and brought to tears. I met their ruler, a priest-like man who claimed to be neither tyrant nor king, but lived with the council who ruled his city. I gave him the empty platitudes a ruler deserves before I made my way off. I visited Adam's Way and stocked up on coffee. The port there had a very good supply, and I knew I would need it if I was to make my way to the Connate, for they require coffee. On my way I visited the Uttershroom again. I am still amazed by the size and scope of that purple mushroom. Running low on supplies, I traded one of the only things of value I still had, Firskins of Prisoner's honey. I was given supplies along with Blemigans, the damnable things. I don't know if it's pity, but I will keep trying to find a home for them. When I arrived in the Connate, I gave much of my coffee to them. Finally they accepted that I was not just an empty flatterer, and gave me access to their merchant quarters. I now had the right to trade with them. I picked up several copies of romantic literature for the sisterhood who would help my Presbyterian adventuress, and the merchant venturer who, well, it takes not a genius to guess what someone like him would want with it. Continually I became low on fuel, gambling myself and my crew's lives for that chance of profit and salvation. We managed to stay alive, though it took a great deal of effort. I made my way to Irem next. I dreamed there with the last of my coffee. I sought counsel with the dead to learn the secrets of Chelonite's great Z-beast, the Glory. When I awoke I was covered in blood and real wounds. I rested as best I could. Heading home to London, I stopped once more at the Chapel of Lights. My comrades and I were hungry. I had to do what was necessary to keep us going. The red feast they served us had a strange allure, and my stomach did not rebel. I felt as if something within me had changed, and if something within me had been awakened. The priest there, seeing this change, apparently, offered me a strange option. He saw that I was plagued by nightmares, as I'd slept on my ship. Though how he saw, I don't know. The smiling one always made me uneasy. However, there was a well just outside his home. He said that the chapel could lower me down together, the entire congregation, and there I would be freed of nightmares. I decided to give it a try, for the Z is a terrible place when you're awake. It is even worse when you're asleep. Knives lined the inside of the wells, and I was scraped into almost oblivion. One of them burned its way into my arm. It left an oozing scar, which would not heal no matter the efforts. I could not help but feel that something had been woken within me. Something had changed. The scar gave off an unusual, sickly brown color. I did not know what to think of it, but I departed quickly, hoping never to return to that horrid place. Before we left, though, My navigator seemed a bit nervous. The man with the sigil on his head had spoken with the priest, and some of my crewmen were missing. He wouldn't have... would he? I shuddered to think at what that food we'd eaten really was. We would head to Frostbound as soon as we were able, but I needed rest. I took solace in Palmerston. I told the Lady Devilish that it was time for us to go, and I offered her passage to London. She came with me, bearing a bag made of human skin. We departed quickly. I did not want to be caught up by the Brimstone investigators as they came to look for her home. I stopped off in Whiter to get the last of the motor salt that I would hopefully need. The soup of hell. My chef had been trying to crack its taste for ages, and now he finally could, though he ended up nearly dead again himself. He told me he would need to go to the Connate. I seem to be going back and forth these days. I can't deny that his food was good, but I wonder what he's looking for. On the way back to London, I dined with the Lady Devilish and saw a hint of humanity behind her topaz eyes, and in the drunk ramblings she told of me. She spoke of worlds beyond the stars, and beings who eclipsed even our tiny planet, of men with the souls of monkeys, and of a time before the Neath. She claimed I was pretty. I bolted my cabin door that night, and slept very lightly. At Venderbight I visited the curator to ask if he had any information on my quest. To my surprise, the bandaged thing rose up and looked at my scar, the one that I had gained from that smiling priest. Though he claimed it disappointing, he spoke of the color Gant, and rewarded me with an ancient skull and lost knowledge from a hidden world. And then, with London in sight, I decided to pay a visit to the Sisters of Hunter's Keep. I needed some cheer, but the house was dark, and the topaz-eyed maid, that demon, was feral. She had hidden in the kitchen and retreated across the lawn as we came to investigate. I explored the house with my crew, only to hear Phoebe, that somber, ancient sister, singing and weeping. It did not take long to figure that she was the only survivor. Her sisters were dead. Had she been the killer, or... There was no time for me to speculate. Smoke began billowing up from beneath her door. Phoebe had started a fire. Perhaps she wished death to herself, as some grim atonement for the stories she had heard, and the things that she had done. Nevertheless, I could not allow it. She was, if nothing else, a friend. We burst down the door, my comrades and I, and we managed to pull her, weeping and screaming, from the house as it burned. Though horribly scarred, my campaigner managed to patch her together. She took to wearing bandages, as the newly dead of Venderbight did. I could not even tell if she was still alive. I gave her the space she needed. Though I wanted to hear her story, there was no point in trying to force it from her. I would wait until she was ready. With this grim reminder of the cruelty of the Z and the gods on board, we headed home. We headed home to London.